Hey, Christopher.
Hello.
So have you had some thoughts about these dolls since first got them ourselves and unleashed them to the world?
I think they've had some thoughts. I think they've had some things to think about, frankly. Yes, of course. I mean, whenever we get new product in, I spend a lot of my free time or spare time or time off thinking about the thing. I'm thinking about like how to maximize it, or maybe like what to, like if we're talking about garments, like what to change, or like how to edit something, or my, best hopes, or I'll, get an idea and send you something when we're, off the clock. But this is one that has been occupying all of our thoughts lately a lot. So I've been thinking about maybe ways to hone in on what I think her personality sort of shows in this face with this paint, with these eyes. It's a very striking glance. She's got a really sort of intense and emotional and sort of captivating appearance. And I think pastels are almost as beautiful as they are. I love pink and I love blue. That way, anyway. That I think something slightly moodier might suit her even better. So we've got an entire archive of clothes that VDC has released over the years, and I thought maybe we could sort of delve into my trove, as it were, and look at some maybe dresses or accessories or ways to sort of play with and style this lovely little face that maybe feel a little bit more pensive or a little bit more moody, because she is sort of classically moody. So, welcome to my studio. I have done nothing to tidy it at all. It's just this clean all the time. No, I wanted to sort of store away some surprises to not, spoil for the upcoming seasons. So, this is my work table where I'm often getting dolls ready for photography behind me and playing with, combining accessories and styling hair and all sorts of things. Believe it or not, this is as much space as I actually need. I fill it constantly. But over here behind me are all of the pieces that we have worked with for the last like 3 years and counting. So a little bit of this has been produced, even me before my era here, but I've tried my best to keep, and I continue to try, keeping it as organized as possible. So you can see I've got it labeled by, type, and sometimes it's by character. And I feel like with these, I want to start with some I want to see what dresses we have. We've put out even some things over the last calendar year that I think would be really fitting. And I think black is sort of an obvious choice for something like this. If we want to lean into an intense feeling, something that's dark and saturated is sort of where my mind goes. So let's pull out some dresses and see what this looks like, because I have a lot. Talk about a dress-up trunk, right? This is what I think all of us wish we had for playing dolls. Okay, so I have a lot here. Some of this, a very little of this is actually factory toner. Some of it I've just sort of thrown together in one place. But I think I want to look like something like this, I think would be really obvious. Just like a fun sort of, not dreary, but, emotionally heavy, saturated sort of vibe. So like that, that could be a great contender with some dark hair, that feels great. She could be a very disgruntled flight attendant, somebody that's
yeah, that's good.
That's impatient with the passengers on board, because God knows people are the freshest of idiots on airplanes. We got a bunch in here. I mean, the story sort of writes itself, right? You could just have her, lounging around in her robe, seething at the state of things,
Seething. That's good.
Just because she can. I do like it. And the white is extra dramatic, right?
Yeah.
We have this in black, but actually I like it in white.
Under the chandelier right here?
Yeah, right? Yeah. This continues to be one of my favorite garments we've ever produced. I fought tooth and nail for this fluffy robe, and albeit, it's not exactly what I was hoping for, but it's darn close. And I love the melodrama. How can you not love something that's just silly and dramatic at once? It's my favorite thing. I have several of these dolls actually, so I could prepare multiple outfits. We have Nima as well. And part of the fun, I think, in staging the two characters is obviously playing with color palette and what flatters complexion more on one versus another, but also Elowen has that moody personality in her canon in a way that Nima doesn't necessarily, although they all share a Halloween birthday. So I don't know, maybe they all have a little spice, Something like this might be really nice for Gwendolyn or Z, being that we, sort of instituted these fashions from the sporting fashion book.
Yeah.
And the sporting fashion book has so many pieces, but we, really loved the summer shopping. And so I think those will be, obvious to play with for them too. Really cute. I love that hair. So as time goes, I'll add things to it. So it's kind of a chronological story. Like the top is the most recent generally. Our mystery dress, the Starlight Shimmer, that's such a good one. Maybe that would be nice. Just fuming at a movie premiere, Why not?
I like that. She's fuming. What was the other one you used?
Seething.
Seething and fuming so far. That's good.
That would be a good one. Our little trip to Wonderland. Oh, I do like that. That's fun. This is a Grace dress, but I think it would be...
Oh, that's good.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah,
I do like that together. And this, I love... Again, black and white is one of my favorite color combinations. I think we can play with a lot of color accessories with that.
If you notice anything in the background, guys, this is a normal work day for us, and right now we have a wonderful man here named Shane who is repairing our bathroom. So
yes,
a lot is going on. Sometimes we can't have quiet on the set, and that just is what it is.
Frankly, any day that we can get quiet on the set is a victory, because there is a remarkable amount of sound that goes on for 3 people. There's always something. And there is sort of an unusual or maybe unexpected amount of foot traffic as well. Like, we are still a brick and mortar shop on Broadway, and so like occasionally we'll have someone come in, oftentimes expecting antiques and not realizing we're a doll shop, and then sort of like discovering later.
Right.
And some of those people love it and others do not.
They do an about face and they can't leave fast enough, and then some people, they love it.
I try to give people permission to like
feel how they feel.
Well, for those that have sort of, that come in unexpectedly and thinking they're, getting a different experience, I'll just tell them, like, we just do dolls here. If you weren't looking for dolls, that's okay.
And the one that gets old, that my new favorite way, because they're always saying, do they come alive? And I say, I wish.
Right.
Like, that would be so cool.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, if anyone does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If in the morning she had all of our work done, or she redid all of our doll cabinets, and we got to come into something new every day,
I feel like
it would be everything.
She is a very energetic, very laser focus, sort of come alive at night. Maybe she's using
polishing all of our floors.
Yeah, I think she might be indulging in some substances that make her very active while we're away. I feel like if there is a sort of possession thing at play, I like to imagine that she is like, I'll be...
We'll let the imaginations go with that.
There we go.
But like I was saying earlier in the video, when I say storytelling, it's your story. So whatever you want her to be doing or feeling is up to you.
Right. If I want Elowen coked out cleaning the floor while I'm gone, I can have that journey. Right. Yeah.
So that will not be in her official storyline, but you can let your imagination soar.
Well, and like, she's certainly not the only or first doll of ours to have sort of an intense expression. Like, I think all the time about one of the earlier Graces that Robert put out with like really heavy dark smoky eyes. Yeah. That like rich eyeshadow and sort of deep lip is like, that's a really intense look for Grace, and like, frankly, she would be a great companion for, supernatural activity, And also, I have so many things that aren't dresses that I don't want to just like be limited. So this is my process. I am not a very linear thinker. It's often sort of a big blob that comes out at once. So I will sort of dwindle through all of my options. I'll just throw everything at the wall and then pair until it like feels right. And I can't really explain what like feeling right is, except for the way that it feels.
You let the ancestors tell you.
Yes, the dolls inform me. That would be cute. Again, some of this is like old Tonner pieces. That would be great. And then of course, it should be, it's obvious, but it's worth stating that all of the Wednesday collection would be perfect for her. So if you have any of those dolls, normally, that sort of collection is precious enough that you might just leave it dressed as it is. But if you wanted to take any of those costumes off or mix and match them, that would be a great collection to do that with. That could be nice. It's a little, I don't know, maybe sort of formal for her. I'm looking for something more moody, which is like, you would think it wouldn't be such a...
things that are super moody. So I am actually pretty excited about what's going to happen next season.
Agreed.
Because we are exploring all the moods.
Well, and I think we're the most honestly that we ever have to this point, really leaning into like what makes Elowen herself and what makes her such a fan favorite. Yeah. We have been sort of given the honor of carrying on the life and breath of this character. Those are really big shoes to fill, frankly. Like, when you have a character that's as beloved as she is and has existed for so long, like, how do you keep that alive in a way that honors what, you know, came before, and then, you know, giving it a fresh face? So I think we're gonna be teetering on that balance really nicely in the next coming season, and I'm so excited to show you what that looks like, because we have a lot of that stuff already in the works or approved, and then other things that we're still sort of working on. So it's taking shape, it's taking form. I think lace and stripes, like, again, that would be a good one. Oh, I love, yeah, the drama of just like ruffles. You don't necessarily need dark saturated colors to be dramatic. I think something sort of outlandish, like, you know, a ruffled collar is always effective. That could be a good one. That could be a good one. Maybe her. So these are my tops and bodysuits. I have mushed together a couple of categories of garments. So this is, you know, probably, you know, it needs its own bin, it's overflowing. Jackets, let's do some jackets. Cardigans, let's see what we've got here. Leather jackets feel very obvious for her. Again, if you need a spider on the brooch, on the lapel, I think that's very, you know, makes sense, very intuitive. Neutrals, we have a lot of those. I might do something like kind of olivey. Well, she's got these really pretty, like, almost gray blue eyes, and I don't know that I have anything lighter than this. But that could be nice. We'll play with that. As far as Nima goes, I could break out this one. Really sort of utilize those eyes. They're so pretty. They're like this, like kind of like electric pumpkin. Like, if you know, the warm color of like an illuminated jack-o'-lantern is sort of what that makes me think of. And I love that Nima almost has that expression of anticipation, where Elwyn has like disdain, but like spicy, you know? It's not like a calm lull disdain. It's a passionate one. So, oh, that could be nice.
So we have disdain,
Sure.
seething,
Sure.
and what was the third one?
Is it fuming?
Fuming, disdain, and seething.
I've got so many shoes. That could be good. Hello, we have to do this one. I only have so many dolls. I'm going to figure out, like, what... This is the agonizing process of going through what I have and saying no to some things. But, you know, I'm letting the dolls tell me. I'm letting the clothes tell me. They will inform me what's going on. So, I think I'm going to sort of... I'm looking at tights. I've got a lot here for just, like, potential layers. I want to see... You know, we have so many colors to play with, actually. I want to get out all of the sort of moody ones. I keep saying that, but that feels true. Something a little bit dark. And if I am bringing out any of the, you know, the colors in jackets or in scarves or in gloves or whatever, then I'll have lots and lots of options. Clearly, I don't have any way to do each of these, like that's not possible. And I can already tell, like, I probably don't really want to use this one, so I can put that back and you know, play with layers that way. And then sometimes it will sort of present itself halfway through. So, you know, maybe I have one idea to start with, and then something else catches my eye and I move directions entirely. I don't think, I mean, this could be a magic pants kind of moment. I don't know, maybe. That's a maybe. I do feel like she's gonna be, like, frustrated and not casual, I think, is probably the vibe. I don't think that she's gonna be, you know, intense and chilling in, you know, sweats or something. I think it's gonna be more glamorous. So I might do, I'll come back to this. I'll see if I can, nothing in the pants or shorts department is particularly striking to me in this moment, but I might change my mind. And I've done coats already. Okay, great. So why don't I'll look at some undergarments, see if there are any like crinolines or anything I might want, just because I have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff. And for the record, I am the one that insists on keeping it all. Rachel is often asking, you know, how much of this do we really need to keep? And I say all of it, because then this happens and I need to, you know, have the process. So, I don't know. Am I a hoarder? I don't know. Maybe that's just an intrinsic part of being a doll person, is a hyper appreciation of your stuff. And I need to feel the stuff. I need to, you know, sit with the stuff and appreciate it or something. I don't know. I'm sure a shrink would have things to say about me. That feels good for now, I think. Right? I have a lot of stuff. I'm getting out into the weeds. I do my darndest to keep things organized. And still, I often have things in all sorts of, you know, places they shouldn't be. So maybe I will save the accessories for, unless I have a particular one in mind, like a specific pair of shoes, I'll probably wait until basic, you know, outfits are assembled, and then I'll come back to accessorizing. That feels right. So I think I still have a fun connection with this one for her. I just want to see, without going full actual Wonderland, how this one feels. If there are ways to sort of make this slightly more like Elowen-centric and more contemporary for her, and not the very specific context I have for it, which is what we did for Grace. And again, this is a garment fitted for the RTB 101 body, so it's not really for Elowen. But if I finagle that with like some fun accessories, I think we can play with it. So I'm going to resist the urge to just put in like sort of garish pops of color, because that is my inclination with black and white, is I want to color with every crayon. I want to put it, you know, throw all of it against the wall. And I don't think that's what this doll wants. So I want to have lots of layers and lots of texture in a way that feels stimulating and maybe, if I can say, innovative or creative, while also sort of harnessing I think there's something restrained about her. Like this expression is restrained before the action, and I want to sort of really tap into that. So let's see what that with, like, can I get like a big scarf on that? Can I get tights? Let's see. That I think is going to be too primary. These are actually old pedal pusher tights. That might be nice. Or I could do the stripes. That I think this is what we released those for. Let me start with scarves. That's going to be more color specific. And I keep my scarves and belts together. Again, just sort of sensible, but it's by shape. I don't have anywhere else to put things that are, you know, long and thin. So all my belts and my scarves are together. Now that I don't hate, but I don't think the gray, I don't know, that's a little more whimsical than I want. We'll see about that. Sashes also work really well in this instance, and I will want something around the waist as a belt, so maybe I keep... That could work, maybe. Again, a little excited, a little stimulating. Let's see if I can keep it more pensive. I don't think of myself as somebody that spends a surplus of my time in a pensive state. I certainly do, you know, feel the the full spectrum of human emotion, but I try not to maybe wallow in that place. And so in some regard, I feel like I'm putting on a mental costume of somebody who is more pensive or is more despondent or more even maybe dramatic. But I think the people closest to me would laugh at me, you know, not being dramatic enough, frankly. I don't know how much of a costume I need to put on for that one. Well, you could be good. Is that the same belt? No. But it is the same hardware. Fascinating. I hadn't noticed that before. I don't mind that. Okay. Sometimes I forget what I have. That's the worst part. There's a lot of stuff, and keeping it all straight sometimes is, you know, it's a journey. I don't know that I have any hats that feel right for this, frankly. I mean, a beret could work. That could be cute. But, you know, it's just, I don't know. I don't think it's a bucket hat sort of event. I do particularly like my bins that are just gloves and just bows. My bow bin it makes me giggle that I come to work and have a little studio, and I have this, you know, wire rack with bins of tiny things, and I have a whole box of just bows. That just like does something to my heart and makes me happy. What a silly fun thing that I get to do. Now the laced tea gloves, I think those are gonna be an obvious contender. I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh dear. Maybe just the plain black will be good. I have a couple pairs of those. I think there's a certain sort of drama that a glove brings, you know? You don't always get the same, yeah, like an opera glove. You don't always get the same effect. Sometimes you need the glove. The glove makes the whole thing. Do we need a fur stole? I don't know, maybe. Okay, let's see how this feels. I'm just gonna be concocting a couple things and seeing where it takes me. So for this, I feel like even though the hardware is a different color, I could work with brown. It feels a little bit more pedestrian than I was expecting, but like I could work with that if we go with this sort of ensemble, with this palette. There's a lot of choices. This would be really nice with a brown boot. You could play with chocolatey accessories, what have you. And of course, you know, hair, we'll need hair, but I like that the way that the jacket sort of calls back to the color of the eyes, and this being sort of a new and frankly like a big deal to have inset eyes again. Like I want to really make good use of them and really compliment them or draw attention to them in some sort of way. So the jacket does that for me, but there are other ways to do that. I don't know, that's pretty. I like that. I'm putting a pin in that. And while we're here, I might just get a couple of these models. The one that Rachel just opened too, I might grab her so I can, it helps to see them on, frankly. Like, just having a pile of mess is not always, you know, inspiring. Sometimes you need to make, you know, sense of the chaos first. I am excited too at the color of the brows, because I am generally averse to an opportunity to not perhaps maximize on matching wig to brow color, or, you know, what have you. If you have certain limitations in face paint, I think you should probably work with that as best as you can, or find ways to stretch those boundaries without like rejecting them altogether. Like if you have sort of a sandy or sort of a mousy tone in the brow, that allows you to go either direction. You can go lighter or deeper or warmer or cooler depending on what that color is. So I want to give a couple of shoe options a try. I didn't get pairs for all of them because I don't know what I'm going to be stuck with yet, but I do like that sort of silly platform, but I think it's going to be better used for something else. I think with the stripes, it feels a little bit like early years Gwen Stefani, so I'm gonna refrain from that. I want to see what I think of a smaller silhouette with a similar level of drama. Oh, I don't mind that actually. That's very silly. That's very silly. But is it moody? Is it pensive? That's my goalpost. That's my guiding light, is moody and pensive. You know, what I wish I had was just like an opaque underlayer of the tutu. I wish that, I don't know, I don't mind that, but I'll think about this. I do also want to see what I think of these. Apologies to everybody that wanted these silver sandals from New Year's that didn't get them, because we weren't planning on people loving them so much. These were meant to be sort of like the supplementary add-on, and people really liked these ones. So if this is something that you are sad about missing out on, let us know. Maybe we'll try to get something similar done soon. Usually we're trying to always improve product, and we have found, and you've informed us and let us know in feedback, that straps are sometimes just like not the easiest to work with, and they're not always the most reliable. So we try to do less like ankle strappy stuff in general. With that said, these were a fan favorite, so it's finding the balance, I suppose. I do regrettably really like the way this looks, so I think this is going to be the vibe for this outfit. That's so ridiculous. So that silver to me feels still like small enough and petite enough in silhouette that it's not distracting, but I love that it calls back to the hardware and it makes it feel a little bit more sophisticated than if I were to do like a fur toe pump. That feels fun, that feels kind of edgy. So let's get her hands and look at some hair and see what we've got for. That's fun. It'll be cute to pick out a purse for that. So silly. My job is so silly. All right, so wigs, I've got a bunch of. These I can just return. Some of these are actually old samples that I need to rehome. I think for this, I think I want something small. I love a short hair. I love a bob. Can you see me okay, Paul? I love a bob. I still think that, we'll see. I do like the bob. That's a contender. That's the one that came on Nima. Maybe. I want something, I think, a little bit more severe and in a different color, I think. The brows are encouraging me to go richer and deeper. But I don't want something formal. Like, I don't want, like, finger waves. Like, that's not it. And I don't want a bouffant, although, like, that could be very cute. I don't think this is it, but just for fun. That's very silly. That's such a, like, a costume of someone from Greece. Like that's such a caricature of a like 50s, you know. If 50s met with steampunk and like had a bad date, that's what that would be. So I won't curse you with a bad date. I will say dark brows are the one, like, I think something you can get away with dark brows is like platinum hair sometimes. So, I mean, like, this is not the cut I would go for, and this needs a brush really bad. No, it just washes you out. It's just not it to me. It's not bad, but it's not right. I think I want something really short, really cropped, and something kind of, I don't know, is aggressive the word? Is that what I'm thinking of? Do I want aggressive? I don't think so. This is the wig that comes on Z, and that's not it for me either. What I really want is actually this like cola color, but I think I want it in something a lot shorter, and I am not above cutting up a wig, but I don't think that's what's in the cards for today. Like that color, don't look at the shape. The shape is not right, and clearly it's in, you know, it's seen better days. But I think the color on that face is really nice. That cola I think is really, really nice with those brows. And I like actually the color with the palette of the outfit. I think that's really fun. It feels sort of siren. It feels sort of like a little bit, this is a character from Schitt's Creek, you know? She's got a lot of personality. And actually, the longer that wig sits on, the less I dislike it. So that's a maybe. I don't think I have anything else in that color that would really satisfy me, and I like the volume actually. So maybe I just give that a really good brushing and see what that does. Let me get, I think she needs a pair of sunglasses, and she very much needs a bag like that. I think that's kind of cute. Brush that hair out. And my bag situation, unfortunately, is a nightmare. I think I've got all of my options for storage are each bursting at the seams. Now again, I think this calls for something kind of small and practical. Like this does not necessarily feel like a big bag sort of outfit, but even something like that is like, it's just too jolly. Like the size is fine, but it's too happy. I think, I don't know, maybe we do more clutches. Is that a thing that anybody else would like? I love clutches as a purse. I know they're not like practical really, but you know, who needs practicality? Now that, maybe. I love our little rubber purses for that reason. Like I just want something sort of dainty sometimes. Something small and delicate is always good to me. We could throw in one pop of something colorful. I don't mind that. I think that's kind of cute. Or these teeny little Chanel bags. Oh, I do. I mean, it's gold hardware. We could do just a VDC purse. That's sort of kind of monochromatic. I don't know if I want black. I don't think black is it. I don't love the pewter chain on this one. I think the chain is, I don't know, a little heavy, but I'm also not sold on this one. This is the glimpse into my brain. It's splitting the smallest, most ridiculous hairs. Oh, and she has to have a necklace. Like we need some ridiculous jewelry around the head, whether it's earrings or a necklace or both. We need something up there because that needs some life. And I'm not sold yet on a bag. I wish I had something that made the belt feel like, I love that that's sort of by itself. Not everything needs an anchor point, but I would like something that felt like it incorporated the belt a little bit more. And like, I just don't have a lot of orange in my, you know, selection. And it's just so big. Like that's a great addition for color actually. I love the purple and the orange and that little bit of turquoise. So I don't know, maybe I could be persuaded into something a little bit bigger. I don't hate that. I do kind of like that color story. But I was envisioning something smaller, you know? I'm gonna come back to bags because none of these are really speaking to me, but I do kind of like this. This feels like self-serious a little bit, just enough for her to, you know, she's in on the joke. It's an intelligent choice. She's not just a clown, if I can if I can be so presumptuous to say so. I don't hate that, and the size feels right to me. I think the purple was cute, but it's just too big. I think I want something more, for this, more dialed in. There's so much volume in the skirt that it needs something to tether it to reality. just a little bit. So now that I've gone through bags, I want to see what we've got for jewelry. And I have, you guessed it, a lot of jewelry. So I think for this, I'll brush the hair in a minute, but I think for necklaces, I would like something, again, a little self-serious. If that was in silver, that would be so nice. I mean, I guess I could do it anyway. There is gold hardware on the purse and on the belt, so maybe by this point I get off my high horse and I mix metals. Because Rachel's the first to do that, actually. She loves to and encourages mixing hardware. A choker could be really cute. That could be sort of excessive, but like, when have I ever been restrained? Oh, I could do just pearls. That could be kind of classy, actually. Maybe that would be fun. We're due time for more necklaces, I think. It's been a little while. Graduated or plain? I think graduated. I don't know where all of my like giant, chunky, atrocious rhinestones went to. We did a bunch of like really chunky jewelry for a while. That could be cute. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, I want something sparkly. Okay, let's see about an earring to match. I could do a stud. Something, again, with silver would be nice. That's too much. I don't think I want something, like, trailing. I don't want anything long or dangly, I don't think. If no other reason, then it's just like a nightmare in the hair. Now, this could be really cute with a hoop. That could be cute with a hoop. Let me try studs first. See how that looks. So, we're going to take this little moment apart, and I can deal with the wig. Oh, and this is a good opportunity to show everyone watching how we pierce ears. So sometimes your dolls come pierced already, and then sometimes they need a little piercing. So I just have sort of a classic thumbtack, and I'm just taking that right into the ear lobe, right where an earring would be, and then sort of slowly twisting that in. And I'll let that set for just a second because this vinyl is really springy and it will sort of stretch back into place really fast. So I'll make sure that I have my earring ready with the backing already taken off, and I'll sort of give that just a little wiggle and then pull. And now I've got a beautiful little hole that I will add that earring to while I still have time before it shrinks again, because it will for the first little while. Now, I think that is so cute. I think that earring is a great choice for this. So let's make you a little symmetrical, okay, and a wiggle. Ta-da, very simple. And now you have pierced ears. So this, I remember this necklace being really short in length and almost being sort of a choker. So I'm gonna see about maybe lying her down and doing it this way. Sometimes it's easiest to do this sort of backwards and then just twisting it around the right way when you need to, rather than trying to do it right side up and like fighting it. Yeah, you know, this jacket's gonna be in my way. So we're gonna deconstruct this just a little bit to give me a little bit more room, and I'm gonna tilt her head nice and far. I want it to go back as much. Sometimes these need a little warming up when you first get them. There we go. Oh, that's cute. And I love the way that that sits just at the clavicle to sort of shape with scoop neck of that top. I think those fit together really nicely. So let's get this jacket back on. And these have wide enough sleeves that you can sort of go in hands on, but I think you have to fight it just a little bit more. Just a little bit. Again, I think it's such a wonderful asset to these dolls that they have hands you can remove. Because sometimes you just need to get those stubborn little fingers out of the way, you know? God knows they were the, you know, bane of everyone's existence for a vintage Barbie. Those fingers are sharp. They will, you know, if you're not careful, they'll take an eye out and certainly rip up your doll fashions. So with this one I'm struggling with. I am going to go ahead and pop off that hand from inside the sleeve and see what you're stuck on. Oh, I got it through the jacket lining. That would be why. There we go. So, note to self and to all the viewers, just save yourself the time and potentially the damage of your lining by removing your hands first. Because like, your outfit will thank you and so will your clock. So I like to unzip that last little bit of the cuff and roll up that end of the sleeve. I think that makes it feel really fun and dynamic and gives it a little bit more texture, something like that. It feels more lived in. I think it feels more worn, and it sort of comes to life for me. I love that the way that this jacket is sitting already sort of has her collar sort of popped up. I think that's very fun. Yeah, I love the attitude on this one. Those, I mean, I say it all the time, but like accessorizing is so specific to whatever doll you're working with or you're dressing or you're, you know, what have you. And these dolls give you such endless opportunities for that playability. If you want to really assign a feeling or a vibe or an emotion or a story, and you're telling a story, these dolls I think give you so much opportunity for that. So let me get some stuff to make sense of this, and I'll get this back on, and we'll see what sort of a finished product for one option for our VDC archive mixing and matching with the new inset eyes looks like. So I'm just taking a little bit of my diluted Doll's Part detangler and going through, this is our Cola, I think it's the Romance wig, which I love, but I have found that I really enjoy the way these look brushed out for some really nice loose relaxed curls rather than something like, I don't know, I think the way that it comes gives you a lot of definition, and I think you can get more flexibility without losing shape by brushing through it a little bit. So I'm just taking the underside on the table with a wire bristle brush, and then I might actually, I don't usually go right onto the wig, but just because I'm doing the whole thing and I want to kind of expedite the process, getting some loose thread out of here, then I'll go ahead and do the whole thing. So misting away from anything that I don't want product on, like dolls or whatever, fabric that might get wet. And if you want, this is something you can do with a mannequin, or you can do it right on the doll. But I think I'm gonna save the brushing on the doll part for once I've got it to a good place. Once I'm sure that I've gotten the general shape where I want it, and definition and, you know, smoothness, then I will go on and sort of detail on the model. So that gives me just like a little place to start. And I might sort of center part this one. It's not actually a center part, it's a slightly off-center side, but with something this length you can't really tell. And I like the way that a center looks with this sort of bright eye, heavy brow. And then I'll take my sort of wide tooth comb and get just a little bit of finagling, something more detail oriented that a brush is maybe better for. Wait, I'll allow a brush to do like the big stroke stuff for me, wide stroke, where a little, you know, wide tooth comb would be better for detailing. Getting every little like stray hair out of place from the thatching and getting sort of the sides to lay where you want them to. Now I also am a very big fan of scissors. Love a scissor. And I've got some little tiny baby hairs that I'm just gonna clean up here. And I might bring that down just a little bit. It's a little bit better. So as you can see, wigs shed, it's very normal. And that allows me to just sort of shape the hair the way that I want it to. Yeah, I like that she's a little severe, but she knows what she wants. She knows what she's doing, where she's going. And frankly, you're in her way, you know? I didn't think I was gonna want like a trailing wig with this, but I don't mind that at all. And I think I can make do with this. So as one option for sort of creating your story with Elowen and enjoying these dolls, I think these particular ones are really, really made for unboxing and dressing them up and playing with them. You know, basics are kind of always, that's kind of the implication. They're designed to be enjoyed and played with, but even more so than your dressed dolls, these encourage so much play. By this point, you've probably been following and watching and enjoying and consuming and sharing with friends and each other and whoever for some time, and you probably have a good collection of VDC clothes to reach for. So this is the perfect opportunity to go back through your own closet and sort of rifle through the way that I did your maybe forgotten favorites or pieces from yesteryear that we've released, and give them some new life, or look at them through a new lens of sort of edgy, you know, interpretation, and bring that to what these dolls can give you that maybe ones we've released before haven't. So I like that one. I like the way that she sort of came together. And I had some sort of visual destination, but not super, a really concise, clear idea of what that looks like, until it sort of presented itself to me. And the beautiful thing about this is like you can go back and change this over and over again. There's no science to this. You're having fun, so have fun. Now I think I might embark on Nima, and we'll see what a couple different combinations look like. So I want to get Warm Days Nima into something new, and I think I want to play with something slightly more energetic, something that feels, again, sort of truer to her expression, which is not, it's not intense, but it's not the same sort of almost glare that Elowen wears. So maybe something that's like slightly more playful, but still very fresh and new and feels sort of energetic. So leaning into, again, starting with sort of her color palette, we've got a really pretty subtle neutral lip, a subtle neutral blush, very, very minimal eyeshadow, and sort of a statement wing, nice bold brow, and a really nice caramelized iris. So I want colors that sort of accentuate or maybe highlight each of those things. I think this can play with like saturated depth and like dark colors, maybe just differently, as I have her with a white skirt. Whereas this, I don't want this to feel like maybe washed out or you know, glazed over. So I want to play with pattern, I think, a little bit with this one too. And I think the Elowen dress from, oh gosh, what was this one? We just did this one. I finally figured it out. I had to go looking. This was the dress from The Long Game. God bless it. I don't know what happens, but I just like blank out. Anyway, I want to see if I can fit our collar from her trip to London underneath, or if it's even gonna show at all. I just think that's like a fun added texture, and this Dickie is such a really fun, different way to play with, you know, doll play and dressing. I was very excited to offer something in a box with a Dickie of all things. So utilizing that and maybe going back into my closet and reaching for things that I haven't used in a little while. That's the fun of this, really. So getting my dress on here. It is sort of a casual cotton sundress, and so perhaps something as formal as a Dickie feels silly, but it's not going to be my only layer. I think I want to do something on top of this. It feels a little bit Laura Ingalls, but I'm not mad about it. I have a vision, okay? I think I see where it's going. I do like that. I think there's just enough of that sort of warm peach in the print of the dress that brings out the eye just a little bit. And frankly, this would be a really great one too for leaning into like bright pops of color. I've got, you know, a number of these dolls, so I might do that. And then this is an old Tonner shirt from many moons ago, actually. A really nice, fully lined satin shirt that I think adds just a little bit of fun, unexpected texture, and both literally and visually to sort of what is, you know, just sort of a sundress. That's ridiculous. Do I like that? I don't know. I don't know if I like that. Do I like it better if I roll up the sleeve just a bit? Maybe. Give it a cuff? I don't know. I don't know if I'm feeling this. I don't think I like that. But I might find a different layer to put on top, because I like this. I like the idea of the stripe, and I like the scale of the stripe, but it's not right. Let me look at what else I have, because like I don't want to do that. I like plaid. I think a plaid with that would be fun, but not this one. So I have a couple contenders, and I might actually really just like the coat we just released for Grace. I'm gonna try a couple because I still want something that feels like different. I'm always, you know, I try to not repeat combinations, and I don't always think I'm very good at that. I think I fall into habits, and I want to, you know, do something that feels fresh, and I just don't think that's just not the right size. The waist on this jacket is just a little too low for this, and I'm not sold on this dress, but I do think I like the idea of playing with it. So I want to see what it does with this trench, and maybe leaning more into, you know, the transition from winter to spring as sort of a theme for this one. I do like that you get just a peek of the skirt of the dress beneath the hem of the jacket. I don't know. I don't know if this one is speaking to me. I don't think so. Sometimes you reach a dead end and you gotta try something else. And this, frankly, is the most time-consuming part, is just like, do you like it or not? And what would you change and why? And knowing maybe what's wrong or what's missing is, you know, the crucial thing, but that sometimes does not present itself very obviously. you gotta listen. So I want to try a different idea with a different Nima and come back to this one, because I could see these going somewhere. I don't want to do just black leather because I think that's sort of redundant and, you know, simple. But this sweater with this coat and those caramel eyes I think would be so pretty. So maybe I'll play with that a little bit. And then we have to figure out what we're doing with you, if anything, because I do like that combination. I just have to figure out where it's going. And I don't know yet. Yeah, I think that could be fun. Okay, so I concocted something that I like for Nima. It took a little bit of finessing, but it's more straightforward palette-wise and a little bit more wearable, a little bit more classic. But I like the palette and I really like what that does for her eyes. So I'm just gonna grab a little bit of hair for her. I wonder actually if we shouldn't do something a little gingery or if that would wash her out. But this is our Casey wig in the like gingery color. Oh, I don't mind that at all. That's really pretty. It actually, I mean, of course I always love, you know, jewelry and accessories. She does need hands, you know, your most necessary accessories. But that actually, I think that's pretty. I wasn't expecting to like that so much. So that on her, that's lovely. If you don't already have some of these Casey wigs, that might be your sign. But I did have to really work the sweater through the jacket because they're very tight sleeves. So that's not clipped in. I'm just gonna like leave that as it is because, you know, I'm the only one, and now the whole internet, that knows the truth. That's not fully in her arm. That's just sort of wedged in there from the pressure of, you know, a sweater that's frankly too bulky for this jacket. But I like them together, and I like the sort of almost 20s silhouette of this. I like that cropped hair, the dropped waistline, the sort of pleats that, I mean, this feels, minus maybe the jacket, in silhouette and like major markers, it feels very 20s to me. So I think that's kind of fun. I hadn't expected to do that. Anyway, I have successfully made a mess out of my freshly cleaned workstation as I prepare for a video and then spend the whole video making another mess. I will revisit my other little ladies later. Frankly, I think I spent too much time talking. So I hope that this was a fun way to experience new dolls together. And if you are excited about shopping them and thinking already about how you might dress them and enjoy them and put looks together, that maybe this was helpful in that regard and that you walked away with some, you know, inspiration or some ideas. And if you liked this, that like we can do more of these. This is sort of ramble in practical terms. It's just me sort of rambling at you. But if you enjoy that, and if you enjoy, you know, doll play together and, you know, making new out of something that already exists, then let us know. Then, you know, in the comments or however, let us know that this sort of, you know, struck a fancy for you. So in the meantime, maybe I'll get some of my mess out of the way and show sort of the final results here. We've got Ello and her sort of eccentric, you know, day out ensemble, but like full of personality and very fun. And frankly, it's something that, you know, on a day where I need to communicate something very specific to the outside world, I would totally wear this. Fashion is a way for you to communicate without saying anything. And I think if you saw her walking into the Kmart, you would know that maybe it's not a day to strike up conversation with her, right? And then we have Nima, who feels very timeless and very classy and very sort of feminine and, you know, thoroughly modern Millie, but excited and literally bright-eyed, and maybe, you know, has more of an optimistic story to tell. So I'm happy with these, and I like the sort of color palette for both of them. So anyway, ramble. If you enjoyed this, great. If you didn't, kick rocks. And in the meantime, enjoy our Elowin and Nima inset eye sale, and don't forget the grandmothers.